Is Wednesday, June 17th. There's Technology Drop-In Thursdays. I've got my screen shared up here. Not a lot to do, but there's some really cool functions within Teams that dropped down the other day. There's also one thing I want to talk about is the Anywhere School. So this is an announcement that Google's made, is making. So on June 22nd, they've got a whole bunch of educational updates and upgrades and stuff like that coming down. So that's in 4 days and 23 hours. You can register here, it's free. It focuses on education. So it's meant for IT administrators and teachers and stuff. We don't have all the education functions, so there's a lot of stuff on Google Classroom. So MacEwan doesn't have that. We're using Blackboard at the moment for that, and eventually Moodle. But it's interesting to see you do have access to Google Classroom through your personal Gmail account. So if you wanted, you could actually create your own online course and stuff and get people to sign up and run a course through your personal Google accounts. So Classroom is a great little tool. Some really cool stuff coming up. I've seen some of the things that they're going to be announcing. Google Meet's got some expansions and stuff. So really recommend that if you can take the time, go ahead and register. If not, I do have copies of the slides, and then on the 22nd I can release those slides, and then you guys can look through what they're going to be talking about anyways. So, but sometimes it's just kind of fun to just be in there. It's only an hour. So that's the Anywhere School. So let's talk about what I got to learn this week. I'm going to start off with spreadsheets. So for any of you that know me, I love spreadsheets, and I love using the VLOOKUP. So the VLOOKUP allows me to put in a formula here that says, hey, or formula in here, hey, go look for the email address. If I put in the email address here, go look in this list of stuff and then bring it back. So I'm just going to, for the heck of it, I'm just going to quickly go in and if I wanted to grab a name here, I'm just going to pull this name here, this email here. So if I throw this in here, and then I go ahead and I use the VLOOKUP command here, VLOOKUP. So what am I going to look up? I'm going to say I'm going to look up this stuff here, and then it's going to say actually, hang on, let me just back that up. What am I going to look up? Got this in the wrong order. Duh. I'm going to look this up. What's the range you're going to look up? I'm going to look up here. And then my index means what column do you want? I'm going to say, give me the column 2 results. So what's going to happen here is as I put in a email in here, it's going to automatically go through the list, find it, bring the name back. Now, the problem with this function is, if you can see, it goes A2 through B7. If I start scrolling or doing a drag down here, and let's say I got a list of emails here, what happens is you'll see a breaking going on, but also it goes A3 to B8, A4 to B9. So the numbers keep increasing. So it actually starts at A5. So we've talked in the past about how you can use a named range. So named range will replace that chunk of data. And the way that I used to do a named range before is I would select that, I'd go under the data here, and I would select the named range. And then I would give it a name. So instead of saying A2 through B15 or whatever it is, I would just put in the name of it. I don't know if it's been there for a while or I never knew about it before, but if I select a column, I can actually go up here and I can replace this with whatever name I want. So I'm just going to call it Doug. So now I've actually have a named range called Doug. And if I click on here, it's going to show me all the named ranges within the document. So I don't actually have to go through the menu to create a named range. I can just do it from there. And when I'm building my spreadsheets and stuff, that's going to save me some time because I use the named range stuff a lot. This functionality is also available in Excel. I don't think it shows you all the list of all the named ranges that are there, but it does. But you can quickly create a named range by selecting it and just filling in the name there as well. So that's a cool spreadsheet thing, not just Google Sheets, but Excel as well. Google Docs has some new changes coming down the pipe. We talked a little bit about it before, some of these, but I'm just going to reiterate them. So there's a new piece up top here for checklists. Now, before I was able to set or insert boxes by using the bullet list, and then I could choose the checks list here. The problem with that is you can't actually check it off. It's kind of meant more like I put boxes here, and then if I print this off, you've got something to check off. But it didn't actually act as a checklist. Now there's a new function that allows you to do that. So there's this checklist. I can put that in here. And then just like you would anything else, Bob, Bill, I can't spell today, it doesn't matter. But I can actually go and check these off. So that's a nice piece that you can have as you're creating your Google Docs. You can have those built in right away, and you can see a line go across them. I've read that there is going to be a feature coming in soon, and I suspect it'll probably be one of those things that they're going to be announcing in the next couple of weeks, where you can also assign people these tasks. So already if I go into a comment, I'm going to make a comment here, and I add this comment, and I could say something like, okay, at Dave Cato. So this basically means I want this message to go to Dave. Can you do this? And I can add this comment. And whoops, I didn't do it right. But usually what happens is it also gives you the opportunity to go in and assign it. It looks like they're doing some changes right now, but there's a little box that says assign this to Dave as a to-do for this document. From what I've heard, they're going to be releasing it so that I will be able to assign it to those to-dos right from the checkbox here. So that'll be fun. Other functionality that we saw last week is if I had a list of names, I can just go and start typing in Dave Cato, and it's actually looking stuff up here automatically. And I'm going to put in Randy in there because Randy likes to be part of stuff. Randy, Jenny, come on, show up. Oh, because Randy's not sharing this document. That's why, for some reason. So, so I can go ahead and put his name in there. The nice thing about Dave Cato, when I click on it, there's all his contact information. Microsoft Word does that as well. The new functional that's happening though is with Sheets is if I do an @sign, it not only does people, but also files. So if I can remember the title of a file that I want to link to, and I can see delete sheet is there because I was playing with it just a few minutes ago, but I'll just go ahead and put in delete sheet. It's going to show me everything that's got that in the title. I can just select that. This now becomes a link that automatically, when I click on it there, you can see it fills out, gives me a little preview, some data in there. And when I click on it, it opens up. So as you're linking back and forth between documents, you don't actually have to go copy the URL and paste it. You can just do the @sign there. Webinars in Teams got some updates. So let me pull in my proper screen so we can see this. Just give me a sec. Come on, where is it? Over here. So I have gone in, and so remember before when we went in, you could go create a scheduled meeting, you can create a webinar and live events. So when you create a webinar, there are certain settings that are going to be available to you. But I just created this webinar here just now. I'm not just to save some time. I'm going to go into here. Because it's a webinar, it automatically sets up attendees must register, right? And actually, let me just recreate this because it's what I wanted to demonstrate just disappeared. So let's try this again. So I'm going to go into here. No, I'm not. I'm going to go up here. Go away. Up here. Stop it. There we are. Webinar. So my stuff. Notice here, require registration for everyone. Because it's a webinar, typically for webinars, you're not going to send a link and just say, show up. You basically are saying, I want everyone to register. So by default, required registration is turned on for everyone. So that's the default. Last week or a couple weeks ago, I showed it to you. This wasn't available. It's now available. So anyone externally can sign up. They don't have to have a Microsoft account, but they can show up. So that gets turned on automatically. If I go in though, and instead just create a regular meeting, discard please. Go away. So I go into here and I can select, double click on here. There is no required registration. So it's something that you have to manually turn on when you want to do that. I put a link in as well as some of the differences when you have these things up. So if I go into the webinar here and I go into my edit, there is the link down at the bottom here for meeting options. And I mentioned that there's some different setups depending on what the meeting is. So I pulled them up here ahead so you can see it. Who can bypass the lobby? Now remember, in a webinar, I'm going to be presenting. I might have a couple other presenters. Everyone else that's coming in is only going to be there to watch. So the default here is no one gets in until I invite them. That's the default setting. I can change that, whatever I want to do, or else I can just manually add people all the time. If you have 1,000 people, which you can in a meeting, I do not want to be sitting there manually adding everyone. So I would actually come into here and switch this back over to everyone, which means they have the link, they just join in. But the default is set up this way, just so you know. Phone calls they can't bypass. Who can present? Specific people. If I had invited certain users, such as like here, test user 30, he was invited to the event. He is a presenter. Anyone else is an attendee that signs up there. Our attendees, of course, the mics are turned off. The chat is in meeting only, which means that unlike a regular meeting, I can't send a chat to the group ahead of time. The chat only functions while the meeting's going on. A regular meeting, whoops, go back here. A regular meeting is different. So the default here is who can bypass the lobby, anyone in the organization and any guests. Who can present? Everyone can present. Mics are turned on, cameras are turned on. The chat is enabled, so I can send out messages before the actual event and after the event because I've just said the chat is on. It's going to stay live until we stop using it. So those are important things to keep in mind when you're choosing these webinar and choosing the just a regular meeting kind of choices there. Now, the other thing that's kind of cool that came up in here is in the meeting events, or sorry, call it meeting details, I guess. Up here now, we've seen meeting notes and the whiteboard and stuff, so we can do stuff ahead of time. There's a new key here for attendance. So remember, with attendance, that's people who are registered as well as people who actually attend the session. So in my webinar sample here, there's nobody assigned in, but actually anyone that registered would be listed here. After the meeting, I would see who attended, and then after, as well as the time, start and end time of what they've done. You still have that file there that you can pull down, which has the details of the registration. But now instead of my having to open it up in Excel, it's showing up in here. This to me was awesome because that was the one big beef I had when I started looking at webinars is having to go into that place there. So that's just a new thing. Another new thing is this plus sign here. Now, again, this is available for webinars. This is available for regular meetings. It doesn't matter. But so the attendance is going to be part of that now, but there's also this plus sign. This is where I can go and I can add my polls. Now it's using Microsoft Forms. Understand that a poll is one question. So I can go in and create multiple polls if I want. And whoops, I have to add it to here. Let me pull out a different calendar event where I was doing some work on already. We'll use this one here. Where's my polls? I'll make a liar out of me. I must have deleted them. Okay, so I can go in here, I can create a poll, and I can do this ahead of time as opposed to waiting till I show up at the meeting. So this can be done at any point in time. I'm now adding a poll into my meeting event, and I can go in and start creating my different polls. And we talked about polls last week, so I'm not going to rebuild them. The nice thing is I can go right here, turn them on and off at any point in time. The other thing that's cool is this plus sign here also allows me to add other apps that we can build in. So for example, if I want to take this event and make it kind of like a channel in Teams, it's like you come here and here's all the links you're going to need. I could put links to websites. I could load a Word document in there. I can add streams. So for example, I'm going to just quickly add a stream in there, some video. Chips. Whoops, if I can spell correctly. So my technology drop-in stuff there. So we'll just call it technology. I'll just go drop-in. So not only does this Microsoft Teams meeting piece give me the chat, the files, scheduling the system. This is where my meeting notes are going to be. I'm going to see the attendance afterwards. I'm going to see any polls that I've created and the results of the polls. And here is a quick resource that I say to everyone, before we go to the meeting, can you make sure you review all this stuff? Rather than providing links and then having to go outside of the meeting, it's going to be right there. So this is kind of nice where this meeting event, it's going to be kind of like its own little mini, what do you want to call it, portal for all the stuff and all the files and information that you need before and during the meeting. So that's kind of a cool expansion that they've done with Teams there. Ooh, let's see. 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 Let's Okay, and then we talked about attendance. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, let me see any comments or questions. Nothing there. Nope, that's it. So that's it. Anyone got any questions? Anything they want to see more of? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording then, and then we can do the chat thing.